Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the recap of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15. Today, we're going to be going over episode, I believe this is 12? I'm trying to think. It is 12, which is the Wig Loose the Rusical. So the way that this is going to work is we are going to, for this, since there's only 6 contestants left in the season, we're just gonna talk about each of them one by one and their performances in this challenge, and then just kind of go over the content of the episode that way and, do our normal standard stuff. So, yeah, let's get into it. Alrighty, so for this, we're just going to be going in alphabetical order, and we're going to be starting with Anitra. And before we actually get to Anitra, I just need to say, everybody did such a good job in this challenge. Like, nobody did a bad job by any means. This really was an episode where there should have just been a top 2 and they could have moved on. Which, I mean, it makes sense to me. They have the space to do it. Because if you think about it, this is a 16 episode season. Presumably there's going to be a reunion and a finale, which will take up the 15th and 16th episodes. So by the end of episode 14, they need to have a final 4 or 5 if they choose to do that again. And here at the end of episode 12, because Selena got eliminated, we're now down to 5, which means that, only one person has to be eliminated between these next 2 episodes. So, for them to go down to 4, which is what I assume that they would do. So it's very odd to me that, like, in a challenge where really nobody deserved to go home and they still had 2 episodes with which they could have eliminated people, they just decided to not. That's confusing to me personally, but oh well, I guess. Starting off with Anitra. Anitra did such a good job with this challenge. She had this, like, for the beginning of her portion of the challenge, while she was not doing the ballad portion, she kind of had this like little, she had like, she's like shaking the shoulders, kind of like closed mouth, it's kind of like little cheeky kind of like stares that she kept doing. She was great in that, and she performed this ballad section so well. Anitra, in terms of just like physical challenge performance, Anitra and Lucy were my top 2 in this challenge. I don't know who I think really did better. But Anitra did such a good job in this, and she looked stunning in this fucking like 80s mom outfit. She looks so good in it. I really like it. And also her runway look was pretty cool as well. I think Anitra did a stellar job in this challenge. And next up we have Lucy. I mean, Lucy as Heaven Bacon was frankly like a masterclass in like fucking acting. She did an amazing job. She truly felt and showed out as the lead of this performance. She hit everything perfectly, did absolutely amazing in this challenge. I mean, it was honestly, frankly, a bit of an injustice that Lucy was in the bottom 2 here. I mean, with a competition like where everybody did it's so good in the challenge. I mean, looking at the runways, Lucy's runway was probably my least favorite. I mean, Lucy's outfit concept I got immediately. A good amount of people online like didn't. Were like were like, oh, this isn't like inventive or didn't scream that to me. But like, no, at the instant I saw it, I was like, oh, it's like 50s housewife preacher from the Black Lagoon. That I saw that immediately. Um, and like I guess I would say again, looking at the runways, that hers is probably my least favorite. But again, I don't think it was bad at all. I got it and I enjoyed it. But even regardless of it being such a like a close performance, and having to use like the runways in order to kind of like separate, who did well and who didn't. I still think Lucy did so fucking good in this that putting her on the bottom there is just not very fair. I think personally, if I was forced to judge this challenge and like get a winner and a bottom 2, my ranking order would be it would be Lucy or Anitra in the winning and high. You can my brain I think is going to flip flop on them for just thinking about this. I've already kind of flip flopped on them. Then I'd say Sasha. And then I think I would say Lux and Selena and then Mistress. That's kind of what I feel at the moment. I don't I it's really difficult because again everybody did such a fucking good job with this. Personally, looking at like nitpicking the details of the challenge, I do think Selena could have like characterized her character a bit better along with Lux. I do think they both did a great job, obviously, with their characters, but like I felt like they could have leaned slightly more in to like, like the actual like characterization of it. And then Mistress also did a fine job. I just was not as excited for Mistress's parts when they came up, and also I don't think her choreography in her first opening number, it wasn't as solid as it should have been. And I wish like the physical, because she does kind of like this like arm spin thing that she has to do, and I'm literally doing it like sitting in my chair. Y'all can't fucking see it, but like I wish the movement was tighter because it didn't feel tight enough. It didn't feel set enough to me. But I mean, again, that's incredibly nitpicky shit that doesn't really matter. So it's really up to everybody's own like subjective discretion of like what they think is the biggest like flaw that they can find in somebody's performance. So it's a whole fucked situation, honestly. So let's just move on to Lux. Alrighty, so as I mentioned earlier, I do think Lux did a pretty good job in this challenge. Um, and I do think this section right here where she like whips up the fan and is like, meet us at the barn at 8 o'clock or whatever she says, I think is like my favorite part of what she did in the challenge. I think in terms of like all of the characters, I think she kind of like faded just a smidge. But I do think with like her and Selena, who were kind of, like a pair throughout the challenge most of the time, they, they had all of their scenes together, obviously, because there weren't that many scenes. But I mean, they were kind of like, a duo for the majority of the challenge. I do think Lux shone a little bit more than Selena. I don't know if that's specifically due to Lux's like performance of it or just like the physical like part that she got. Um, but I think regardless, Lux did a great job in this challenge, and she looked great on the runway as well. So let's move on. Mistress Isabel Brooks, again, did a great job. I again wish she would have gone a bit harder, or was a bit more solid with the vibe with the choreo, and also the lyrics in that first song that she did, because there were some kind of like parts where the preacher teacher was making like ugh noises that I didn't. Mistress wasn't giving, but like in a part she wasn't giving, and then at one part she did give, and it was confusing. It's like, okay, like I feel like you should either do them or just not do them at all. Like it has to be one or the other, because she was kind of like in the middle of it, and that was slightly odd to me. But again, that's such a nitpicky bullshit thing to pick out. I feel like I'm fucking Ross Matthews talking about it. But like literally, with this challenge, it's everything you're gonna critique is gonna be nitpicky. So why the fuck did they not just make it a fucking top two? I don't understand. I hate it. But I did love this episode regardless, because I mean, literally everybody did a great job. And it's always fun to watch people just like do a great job at things. But I do, again, I do wish Selena did not go home, because again, should have been a fucking top two. But also Selena was kind of like my preseason favorite, so it is a bit upsetting. But again, Mistress, back to Mistress, and not back to me just like ranting about random shit. Mistress did a solid job in this challenge along with everybody else, and yeah, and her runway was actually the best runway of the week. Oh my god, she looked so fucking beautiful. I was like, oh my god, she's just a vision. It was great. Selena S titties. Um, I so when I was making this, so okay, this is not even about Selena really, but I'm gonna be saying the same things for everybody because everybody did great in this challenge. So I'm gonna share this little anecdote. I make these things in PowerPoint, and then I just like save them, and then like get them full screened and set up, and then I just kind of like run through them. Um, in the like the alternate text that's at the bottom of pictures when you put them into Microsoft PowerPoint, this one was tagged as, I believe it was um, like person with red face paint, hands in the air. Like I think that's exactly what it was, and that made me laugh really hard because like I guess, but also it's fully like it doesn't sound good either. It doesn't really sound great. It sounds like, I don't know. It was just it was an odd descriptor to give to it, because usually it'll be like it'll be like person standing on stage wearing garment, and it's like, yeah, that tracks. That is a sentence that makes sense. But this sentence did not feel right. Um, but regardless, actually talking about Selena's challenge performance, I liked Selena's boy makeup a lot in this challenge. I thought it was pretty good. And I again think Selena did good with the role that she, had, which I think was probably the least. I mean, that's the role I least would have wanted to do, because it just kind of, based off of like the actual physical part of it and also like the vibe of it, just kind of seems like kind of like the second in command to like Lux's a little bit. And there's really no other character in the performance that is like a second in command kind of character, except for like what's his name, the character that Sasha played. I forget what the name of the character is. I genuinely don't remember. But he that character, he is also kind of like a bit of a second in command character to Mistress's character, preacher teacher. But but Sasha's character was really, the character had a chance to shine later on in the performance, kind of like more set by itself. Um, and kind of got to join the ensemble, which didn't really happen with Selena's, where Selena and Lux really had the exact same like parts that they had for each other, but just kind of, I feel like Lux is like the characterization that Lux got to do in the dialogue was a bit better. So sadly, Selena did end up going home at the end of this challenge, which we'll talk about later, but Selena did a great job with this as well. Now, let's talk about Sasha Colby. I fucking love her so much, and I love that she chose this character. The only thing I disliked about Sasha's performance was this fucking wig. It was so bad. I hated it. I like immediately was like, oh, when when everybody was like saying like, oh, Sasha, your character in like the drag king drag was kind of hot, and I was like, I mean, no, not with this wig, certainly not. I don't see that at all. It didn't. It was no, I didn't like it. I mean, I like the way that it makes the character look. I just think the wig is an atrocious wig. But regardless, Sasha did a great job in this challenge, and that's my only complaint, is that I wish she was wearing different hair in this fucking part of the show. That's literally it. Sasha did a great job regardless, and Sasha's runway was also stellar. The only thing I wish is that she wore actual mitts. I don't think she had to. I mean, obviously, because she fucking had like 50 of them like strewn across her body, but I do wish she just like wore them, because like it's like a gloves runway. So my brain like wants to see, like, I want to see you wearing gloves too. And the fact just that she wasn't wearing gloves, I was like, really? Could we have not just like fucking could you not just had another pair of mitts you put on for a little bit? It was slightly annoying to me, but like I still love the outfit. I think it was my second favorite outfit of the whole episode. So I think she did a great job with this. Alrighty, so we get to the critiques now, and we see that Anitra wins the challenge, which I kind of agree with. I would have chosen Anitra or Lucy. I'm not sure, but one of those two for sure. So I think it's a good that Anitra won. And then the bottom two were Lucy and Selena, which I personally disagree with. I think I would have had Mistress and Selena be the bottom two here, but again, it's very close and it's entirely subjective and it's kind of annoying. So let's not talk about it. Looking at the runways, I believe I've talked about everybody's runway really, except for Selena's, I guess, and Lux's. I haven't really. I only mentioned that I liked it. Actually, I guess I really only mentioned to like everybody's that I kind of liked it. But I'll take a second to talk about Selena's. And the comment that Ross made of saying she just should have just worn a black bodysuit with this, and it's like, I completely disagree. Because that would just, I feel like if she had done that, then like one of the judges would have been like, but it's just a black bodysuit. And it's like, okay. Like, it feels like with that critique that Ross gave, that there was no winning. You know what I mean? There's like no, there's like no way to improve it for later. There's no way to actually take that and apply it without another one of the judges probably being like, well, this is more boring now. It feels like a lose-lose situation for critique that doesn't really mean anything or make sense. So it was pretty asinine, I would say. But again, that's kind of, I guess, it's really all I want to mention here. Let's go to the lip sync. Alrighty, talking about this lip sync, we are getting our lip sync to "Running Up That Hill" by Kate Bush, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. I have not watched Stranger Things. I've never seen it. Um, I discovered the song, like, or not, I discovered is such a weird word, because discovered makes you discovered gives off like Christopher Columbus vibes when it comes to music to me. Like, I learned of the song's existence like 3 years ago, um and I have loved it ever since, and it was my most played song of the year 2020. I love that song so much, and I love that more people love it and appreciate it now. um and yeah, I think Lucy did a pretty good job in this. I do think Lucy did better. I do appreciate the um the consistency with her facial expressions and the vibe that she was giving off with her lip sync. I don't think Selena did a bad job at all. I just think with this, there's some lip sync songs I just like can't imagine a more comedic performance to, and Selena was trying to serve a bit of comedy with her performance, and it just didn't feel right to me. Like "Running Up the Hill" is not a song that I can like. I think obviously I think somebody can do a comedic performance to it and do it successfully, but I don't think Selena's was that successful for me. I preferred Lucy's, but again, both of them did a fine job in this lip sync, and yeah, it sucks. Sucks getting down to people that are all so good, and you don't want any of them to go home, but one of them has to. It's annoying. Let's talk for a minute about Miss Selena S. Titties. Now, I fucking love Selena. Selena was my preseason favorite that I was rooting for. And I really feel like she got robbed at a lot of points during this season. Again, this could just be the favoritism talking for me, but I'm gonna feel my feelings in this moment. I think a lot of the time Selena was just thrown in the bottom for no reason. And it was weird, and it didn't make any sense to me. Like, I feel like she should not have been in the bottom for that first design challenge. I don't think by any means. She should not have been in the bottom for the interviewing challenge by any means. And I think with the setup that we had, it was debatable for whether she should have been in the bottom for the ball. I feel like you could debate all of her bottoms not being deserved, which is not fun to be able to do that for somebody, especially with four bottom two placements of the fact that you're able to debate whether all of them are deserved. And I feel like, and like have actual like reasoning and support in those, and like those talking points, is kind of annoying that they would continue to do that, specifically, that the producers would continue to throw her down there. But regardless, Selena is a fucking star. I love her so much. She is amazing, and I cannot wait to see what Selena does in the future. And yeah, I think Selena deserved better. Alrighty, so next week there is going to be a makeover challenge with teachers, which is going to be fun, like a good little old-fashioned makeover challenge on Drag Race. As long as the episode isn't too rigged, we'll see about that, because that tends to be the case with a lot of makeover challenges. But let us talk about who we think is going to be, doing well in this challenge. We only have 5 contestants left. So I decided to go for Mistress and Sasha. I honestly I mean, Mistress has always looked good throughout the whole season, every single outfit. So I would be shocked if Mistress didn't do good with this. And I think Sasha could paint literally anybody. Sasha's also looked great throughout the whole season. Again, I really don't think anybody's going to do bad in this. I really don't think so. I think Lux is going to do great in this challenge as well. I think Anitra will probably have a good performance, and so will Lucy. So again, this is like how I said last week, which I was correct actually last week, where I said I don't think anybody's actually going to do bad in the musical, and I was right about that. I don't think anybody's going to do bad in this either. I just have the most faith in Mistress and Sasha, comparative to everybody else. Um, Last week, the two that I had put for doing well in the challenge were Anitra and Lucy. And Anitra won the challenge, and Lucy was in the bottom two. So I kind of got, feast and famine. But I personally, my favorite two were Anitra and Lucy. So even though it's really a neutral week for me, I feel like in terms of predicting right, I would say it's kind of a win. So let us get to our predicted top four. Surprising no one, my predicted top four is still the same. I mean, everybody, all but one person has to be included, and I think the one person that's not included in this is Lucy. Lucy's just gotten too negative of an arc throughout the whole season, I feel like, for her to actually be sitting in the finale. And they obviously, regardless of her great performance last week, decided to throw her in the bottom. So I do think, out of everybody left, they probably care about Lucy the least in terms of the storyline and everything. So I think Lucy's probably going to go home next, whether that is next week or the week after. I think that's probably what's going to happen. So, yeah, predicted top four is still the exact same. So that is going to be it for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you wish. Tell me your thoughts about this most recent episode down below. And yeah, again, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, take care. Bye-bye.